Welcome to another segment of California CEO's Nonprofit Showcase presented by the ARC of Riverside County. I'm Robbie Silver, Director of Communications of the ARC, and this is one in a series of videos to introduce you to special friends and advocates who have worked with our agency over the last 2 decades to improve the lives of people with intellectual and other developmental disabilities. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Eva Carner and Ricky Nelson. Eva has raised Ricky since he was a small child. Ricky had prenatal alcohol exposure, which presents many problems and challenges to parents in raising children with this condition. Eva networks with an international community and other parents in the community at large to educate and support those living with the effects of drinking during pregnancy and help them lead happy, healthy, and successful lives. In the last decade and a half, Eva and Ricky had helped the ARC of Riverside County implement a curriculum called their 9-0 campaign to area schools to educate people on the hazards of drinking during pregnancy. Through the 9-0 initiative, they educate legislators, community leaders, public defenders, professionals, and the public. Welcome, Eva. And welcome, Ricky. Appreciate it. So please describe to me, what is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder and how is it prevented?
Fetal alcohol spectrum disorders are disabling conditions that happen when a woman drinks alcohol during her pregnancy. The alcohol enters the baby's bloodstream and enters the baby's brain and causes damage.
And can you describe a little bit from a personal perspective how you got involved with this initiative?
Well, that's what I always say is I didn't really have a choice. When I became Ricky's care provider, his mother, I found out that his disability and problems and challenges in life were caused from alcohol exposure. So I kind of had to be interested in the topic at that point because I wanted to help him be the very best that he could be. And when I reached out to the community at large, the other parents, I found out that they were having the same kind of problems that I had. So I worked hard to educate myself about fetal alcohol and help Ricky be successful.
And how did you get linked up with the ARC of Riverside County?
Well, one of the first things that I tried to do was go to meetings and conventions and conferences about fetal alcohol. One great activity was being sponsored by the ARC, and I contacted my local chapter here in Riverside and asked if they would sponsor me, and they were more than happy to do that. The ARC of Riverside has always been very active in prevention activities like fetal alcohol education and awareness.
And so with that said, tell us a little bit about what you've done as an advocate with the ARC of Riverside County.
Well, I helped them work on their curriculum to educate teens about the dangers of drinking while pregnant. We made a media campaign like billboards and PSAs, video for the television, and radio announcement spots, posters. We networked with many other organizations within the area like hospitals and universities to raise awareness.
And I know I touched a little bit about the 9-0 project and the fast track curriculum. Can you tell us a little bit about more of those in detail?
Well, the fast track curriculum is designed to be peer taught, which means that we teach students who are interested in being, leaders in their schools to deliver a really short educational program to the health classes in the high school campus about fetal alcohol. In other words, it's teens educating teens.
And tell us a little bit more about the impact that you think warnings and education have on young people who are at risk for this disorder.
Well, that's one of the most wonderful things and saddest thing about this disorder. Many times all we need to do is get the information out there. All these young people need to know is that it's dangerous, and most of them will make a healthy choice and not drink while pregnant.
And how important is it that the ARC has been helping you to carry on, this initiative and the goals of this overall campaign?
The ARC has been absolutely instrumental. The ARC of Riverside County is a national leader on this issue. They've worked hard and within their own agency and in conjunction with local and state and even national organizations to raise awareness.
And Ricky, what has this meant to you in talking about the initiative of helping, preventing this condition?
Because example is me. Because I have to live with it day by day, and to go out and show people that I don't look it, but that's what's confusing. I don't look it, and people think, wow, this guy can have goals in his life, but really, it's the brain thing is in my brain. If I was not exposed to alcohol, I kind of had 3 goals in life I wanted to be. I wanted to be a police officer because that was one of my favorite. A doctor and a DJ. One of my goals got to be being a DJ, and I have be supervised every moment of my life, and that's hard too because I want the freedom as everyone else without a disability, not to be watched, you know, but it's hard to be because we don't know when we're going to make the right choices or wrong choices. Nobody tells us to do them, we just act on them.
And what advice, Ricky, would you give to pregnant mothers out there?
If you are thinking about drinking during pregnancy, don't drink at all. It's not 1, 2, or 3, whenever, not any safe amount, is because your baby won't be as affected and won't even be born good. Even babies die too.
Sometimes, yeah.
And what goals do you have for your future?
My goal is take life on as what I am and get married with one I love, because I'm actually with somebody right now, and it's looking good right now, my future, and just want to keep on enjoying my life, being happy, enjoying the stuff I do, and help people, and with people with disabilities, and help every way I can.
And what has the ARC of Riverside County and the advocacy that she has done, you know, basically meant to you?
Actually, I'm really glad the ARC got on board, because if they didn't get on board, I don't think my mom would have had a real good job, you know, and I want to really thank the behalf of Jim. You know, Jim was the main guy to put the spark in my mom's thing. If it wasn't for him, I don't know where we would be today, but I thank the ARC very much for putting us in their life and letting us help them.
So Eva, you know, thank you for sharing a lot of information about, you know, the overall condition, but what drives you to be an advocate every day, and what gets you out of bed every day to help, you know, help those with this condition?
Living a life as a parent of an individual with fetal alcohol has been extremely difficult, mostly because the characteristics, the way the disabling condition works upon the brain is so counterintuitive. I mean, you really can't believe that there could be a disorder where someone can appear to be very intelligent, very aware, can repeat the rules, the social rules, the actual rules in any situation, but still be unable to follow them. They can know what's right and what's wrong. They can tell you what's right and what's wrong, but they're not able to make a conscious choice between those two. They're going to be so impulsive that they're going to do whatever feels good at the moment. So if I can help raise awareness about this terrible disorder and help other families understand that they're not bad people and their child's not a bad child, which is exactly what children who have this kind of damage to their brain get diagnosed with most often, is being a bad child, a poorly raised child with bad parents. If I can help other parents understand how this works, how the brain works when it's alcohol exposed, and I can help them understand the very simple things that you can do to help a person with fetal alcohol be successful, then I will have made a huge difference in their lives. I will have helped them be successful. And it is possible. It is possible to be successful with these kinds of disorders. They just need certain kinds of environment, really, around them to support them.
And Eva, as a follow-up to that, you know, from a personal perspective, why is it important to start those messages early to those, you know, parents or those pregnant women who are thinking about drinking?
Well, think about it this way. These disorders are devastating. They cause terrible damage to a person's life, no matter how slightly or severely affected they are. And there are some simple treatments that you can use to make the person's life successful. But what's the best, thing to do? What's the best way to fight a fire? What's the best way to fight these terrible disabilities? The best way is to not have it happen in the first place. And this is such a common and devastating series of disorders that are absolutely 100% preventable. And there's a mistaken information out there that lets young women know that perhaps this is a problem that only happens to other women who have a problem with alcoholism. Yes, a woman who has a problem with alcoholism is much more likely to have a child that's affected. But unfortunately, the patterns of drinking that young, healthy, non-alcoholic women have today in our society is also able to cause serious disorders. It's just a matter of luck, of chance, timing during the pregnancy, the age and health of the mother, the genetics of the mother and the genetics of the child. If a baby is born, if twins are born to a woman who has an alcohol-exposed pregnancy, it's not uncommon for the two babies to be very differently affected from their alcohol exposure. No one is able to predict how much alcohol a woman can use during pregnancy safely. The truth is there is absolutely no safe amount of alcohol. That they have found effects in cell growth and development under the influence of just a single drink. And if a person is especially susceptible, a baby is especially susceptible to alcohol's effects, very little alcohol exposure could be enough to cause a serious problem in the baby's growth and development. Now, this kind of problems that a baby has from alcohol exposure are very subtle at first. There are things like learning differences, learning disabilities. There are things like attention deficit disorders and other forms of mental illness. There are things that make a person perhaps not be obviously disabled to the outside appearance, but they have an extreme effect on the person's ability to be successful in life and lead a full and productive life.
And from a personal experience, what has Ricky meant to you?
Ricky came to me when he was 4 years old from a terrible history of abuse and neglect. When he first came to live with me, he was so frightened of being abandoned that I couldn't step around the corner of an aisle in the supermarket without him screaming, "Please don't leave me, please don't leave me." I'm sure people that were shopping wondered why he was so terrified of being abandoned. At that time, I made a promise to him. I told him that I would never leave him. I would never give up on him. Now, all those families that did give up on him prior to him living with me, I understood why that happened, because living with him was very, very, very difficult. My understanding of how a person learns what's right and what's wrong and their ability to make good choices was the same as everyone else. If you raised a child right, if you cared for them and loved them and were educated and patient and kind, then they would learn those things naturally. They would follow the model that you gave them. And it was amazing for me to discover and it wasn't until I met other families that had these same kind of problems that I found this out. I talked to families where the parents were well educated. I talked to families where the parents had no formal schooling at all. I talked to families all over the world in all kinds of social situations. I talked to parents who were angry and bitter and impatient with their child. I talked to parents that were loving and guiding and nurturing all the time. Old parents, young parents, everything you could imagine. And surprisingly, they were all raising the same child. the same impulsive, the same child that didn't understand cause and effect, the same child who made the same mistakes over and over and over again, who seemed bewildered that a specific action would end in the same result every time. I want to prevent that. I want to prevent other families from having to live that kind of life. I want to prevent people like Ricky from having to live that kind of life. I want to prevent this. It is preventable. We need your help. We need everyone's help. It is preventable.
And Ricky, what has your mom meant to you?
My mom meant a lot to me. And I don't usually get teared up, but this shows somebody, like I tell everybody, I don't like the way my life is right now, but I have to live with it every day. And it's sad because I'm trying to make the right choices, and I want to be a good man, you know, but nobody tells me to do bad or nothing, just I do them and don't know why. And people come and tell me, "What? Do you know why you did it?" No. And it shows if I didn't have alcohol, I didn't drink, but my birth mom could have made a choice to not drink alcohol, but she did. And then I have some fears in life. I'm afraid of dying, and I'm afraid of snakes too. And I just, to all the people with disabilities, I just feel very sad and terrible for all they're going through, as well as maybe we all want to reach our goal to do something in life and try to be perfect, but sometimes we can't be perfect.
No one's perfect.
No.
And Rick's a good man. He has a really good heart. Living a life without brakes, without a driver in the seat, sometimes I wonder what I would be like if I lived that kind of life. And I know one thing for sure, I would not be as good a person as Rick is. Because basically he loves other people and he wants to be a safe and healthy and happy person. That's what he wants for himself. Unfortunately, because of his lack of understanding of, cause and effect, even crossing a street can sometimes be dangerous for him. It depends on whether he sees something across the street that's excited his interest and he's forgot to pay attention to the cars that are coming. We can never predict.
And Ricky, we kind of have the similar fears in life, but what kind of motivates you and drives you to get out of bed, every morning?
Just the challenges of life. I have to get up every morning, don't know what's going to be said or what, because my brain, I have to be on a same schedule every day. If it change, then that's a big deal with me. It's confusing. I wake up and I try to find things to do, but because you could be put on the spot and not even know it, and then you have to tell somebody, wait a minute, I'm on a daily schedule, I'm used to, and some people don't care. But I try to wake up every morning not thinking I do have a disability, yes I do, but not, if I can get out more every morning, getting out and doing a better job like educating somebody, I'll be happy if I get 2 or 3 people a day if I go and tell somebody, not just you have a disability, I have a disability too. I wake up every morning, thankful I'm alive with my disability. Because I wish I could drive, but I can't. I can, but I just haven't, not safe for me to drive.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those emotional and vulnerable experiences with us today in the studio. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
If you would like to obtain more information on the Arc of Riverside County, I encourage you to visit our website at arcriverside.org or give us a call at 951-275-5344. Your generous support will enable us to continue making a difference, one life at a time. California CEO Magazine encourages you to support any of the nonprofits featured in our programs. Your generous contributions will go directly to programs that serve our community. If you would like to join us here in the studio, tell your story, or talk about your organization and what they're doing for the community, visit us at californiaceo.net and complete the form on the Contact Us page, or simply give us a call at 951-697-3098 and let us help you get your story out. I'm Robbie Silver. Thanks again for being a part of California CEO Magazine.